The sun had already risen, and once the smoke curtain disappeared, Madame's corpse could be seen lying on the ground. It had cuts all over the abdomen and all its legs had been cut off. While the wind was blowing, Lovegood Merlini began to observe the corpse in silence. Granule fell on his butt to the ground because he was exhausted. Sinclair's eyes, who was holding her magic staff, and Dolores expanded in surprise and relief. Meanwhile, on the other side, Hohenheim couldn't help but smile. Middleborough was kneeling on the ground and gasping heavily. Lowborough had his hands resting on his knees and was catching his breath. Highborough raised his head and began to gaze towards Madame with a serious expression. Bakira, who was standing in front, began to stare at Madame in silence. While the smoke screen was disappearing, the eyes of Vieille, who had shot the mana-imbued arrow to weaken Madame, began to shine with seriousness. He was proud. Not long after, Madame's corpse began to disappear. And with the fall of this living calamity, the system of the magic tower finally returned to normal. As soon as the system was restored, the tournament came to an end and all students were immediately teleported to the waiting room. Vieille began observing his hands with a curious gaze, not knowing what was happening. Sinclair's eyes widened in surprise. She was speechless. In front of them were Piggy, Sancho, Tudor, and Bianca, who started running toward them with a proud smile. The attention of Vieille and Sinclair was fixed on them. In this place they were able to reunite again with the students and teachers who were waiting for them. Piggy extended his arms and jumped to hug our boy. Vieille couldn't help but feel somewhat confused and surprised. Piggy gave Vieille a hug and began to cry, our boy's eyes filled with surprise. Leaving him in shock, the fact that, in the midst of all this chaos, no one was seriously injured was undoubtedly a blessing from heaven, a true miracle. The University League ranking was updated, revealing the 10 heroes who made this miracle possible. At the top, in first place, was Hohenheim, followed by Giraggio Bacchiraga in second. Lovegood Merlini took third place and Dolores Lunquo Vadas fourth. The 5th to 7th places went to the Baskerville triplets. Vieille secured 8th place and Sinclair 9th. While Granule the Leviathan completed the list in 10th position. Vieille began to imagine the triplets with crossed arms and shining eyes, Granule and Sinclair. The fact that this group of first years entered the top 10, and that they were all academy students who fought against Madame, surprised everyone. Furthermore, after investigation, it was confirmed that Madame was an S-class entity, at a time when even the extra eyes monitoring the field collapsed due to system overload. It caused great astonishment that 10 students whose maximum power barely reached 4th circle level or low graduate rank had managed to hunt down an S-class beast. Vieille began to remember against Madame and the beast with eyes shining with evil. Many doubts arose, but the students gave a unanimous version. The ground exploded, creating a momentary opportunity. And their attacks hit right in its weak points, because Madame's appearance was considered a system error. The only official conclusion that could be established was that the defeat was due to a fortunate coincidence. Blue Whale lowered his head and began to gaze at the ground with a sad expression. He was standing on top of the stage and in front of him were the students, with an expression full of regret and sadness. Blue Whale promised to fulfill his duty until the end of the tournament and then would resign from his position as Lord of the Magic Tower. With an expression full of regret and sadness, the Lord of the Magic Tower and highest authority responsible for the tournament, known as White-Bearded Blue Whale, publicly expressed an apology and the situation began to enter a phase of resolution. A few hours later, night fell. Someone grabbed a pitcher of beer and decided to make a toast in honor of Sinclair and Beaker making it into the top 10. It was Tudor. He stood up and began to show a smile. The others who were sitting started to watch him in silence. The attention of the boot camp Varangian students focused on him and their eyes began to shine with confusion. Bianca crossed her arms and with a nervous expression, explained to Tudor that it wasn't the time for this and asked him to sit down. Tudor felt somewhat confused. turned toward her and with a forced smile thought that she was right. While Sancho's eyes were shining with tranquility, he turned to them and mentioned that although they all managed to return safe and sound from this chaotic situation that put their lives in danger, the mere fact of having faced an S-class creature left them with a deep traumatic aftermath that haunted them. Not far from them, at another table, sat the friends of Love. Good Merlini. One of them put her hands over her face and began to cry. Noticing this, with a worried gaze, the friend placed her hand on her shoulder and tried to console her. Sancho closed his eyes and couldn't help but smile. Then, he grabbed the beer jug and questioned why shouldn't they raise their glasses in honor of the heroes who fought against Madame. Our boy showed no emotion and remained silent. While on the other side, Sinclair's eyes filled with joy and she couldn't help but blush. Everyone grabbed their mugs and made a toast. Sancho and the others congratulated Sinclair and Vicaire, as it was truly impressive that two first-year students occupied 8th and 9th place in the overall ranking. While they were distracted, a student wearing the Magic Tower Academy uniform approached them and coughed. Upon hearing this, Sinclair's attention turned to them and her eyes filled with curiosity. They were two students from the Magic Tower. One of them began touching his head. After confirming that they were Vicaire and Sinclair, with a sincere gaze, he thanked them for having saved him earlier in the tournament, since he thought he should at least greet them. Sinclair turned to them and with a smile mentioned that she was glad to see that they were not hurt. Vicaire began to gaze toward the ground in silence. The student began to touch his forehead, began to point at them with his finger and with a sincere expression explained that he was a little surprised. He did not expect that they, being commoners who probably had not even received an adequate education, could save the nobles. Upon hearing this, Sinclair's eyes widened in confusion. She did not know if this guy was crazy. While on the other hand, our boy didn't even bother to look at him. Someone forcefully placed their hand on top of the table. It was Bianca. She grabbed the student by the collar and while her eyes were shining with rage, asked him what he had just said and whether background mattered when it came to saving someone. The student could not avoid clenching his teeth tightly and feeling furious. He panicked and, with a nervous expression, explained that it was a misunderstanding. He had only meant to say that, being commoners, perhaps it had been more difficult for them. Sancho grabbed Bianca by the arms and asked her to calm down, making her let go of the student. They felt relieved and began to flee the place without looking back. Bianca could not help but feel even more furious, and she asked Sancho to let her go, since, according to her, those guys did not even deserve to be saved. No one took the student's words seriously except Sinclair, who began looking at the ground with a sad expression. Vicaire's attention was fixed on her, realizing that she had reacted very somberly when the topic of origin was mentioned. This was unusual, since normally she would have brightened the atmosphere with cheerful words. But this time it wasn't like that. Piggy closed his eyes, clapped to get everyone's attention and with a smile, decided to change the subject. Remembering that the first round of the tournament had ended and that the second one was only for those who ranked in the top 10 of the first. While his eyes were shining with joy, he began to show two fingers, revealing that the second round was about adapting to the apprentice system. The 10 students would visit the imperial family and the 7 great houses of the empire to complete missions, quests, and by doing so, they would receive artifacts jointly managed by all 4 universities. Vicaire's eyes widened seriously. Bianca placed her hand on Tudor's shoulder, pointed to herself with her finger and with a curious expression mentioned that, to avoid controversy about objectivity, it was customary not to choose the mission of the family one belonged to. For example, she could not receive the mission of the Divine Bow family, and Tudor would not be assigned the mission of the Sunspear family. Tudor crossed his arms and nodded his head, explaining that since Vicaire and Sinclair did not belong to any house, this did not affect them. Upon hearing this, Sinclair could not help but clench her fist tightly. Our boy's attention, who had his arms crossed, was fixed on her, leaving him somewhat. Bianca began to raise a finger, revealing that there was one thing they must absolutely comply with. She advised them never to choose the Baskerville family. Most students who had received missions from this house had failed even to pass them. And there were even legends that some never returned while carrying out these missions. Wakir remained silent and began to ponder, while on the other side, Sinclair's eyes filled with concern. Bianca clasped her hands, and while her eyes were shining with curiosity, she asked with a smile which house they were going to choose. Wakir raised his head and his eyes widened in surprise. He didn't know what to say. The next day, as the sun was setting, the train set off. In one of carriages sat a boy holding an envelope. This envelope was from the Iron Sword family, and inside were instructions for a mission of maximum difficulty. Wakir began to read the contents of the letter in silence. And his eyes began to shine since he still remembered their expressions when he chose this. He knew that although internally it might be different, the public had deeply rooted ideas about the Baskerville. Bianca put her hand over her face and couldn't help but feel furious. While Tudor and the others were in shock since they knew they were a family of lunatics obsessed with blood. Wakir rested his hand on the seat and began to contemplate the landscape in silence. This second-round mission was the final gateway to face the 7th Corps, Decarabia. Everything would end if he simply obtained Hugo's seal on the scroll. But there was something he had to check before that. Our boy put his hand into his pants pocket and then took out another letter. Wakir began to observe it carefully. It was the letter Hugo had given him, which contained instructions on how to become a sword master. No matter how much he thought about it, he couldn't understand it. If Hugo had discovered his power, this would make sense, but he was sure that wasn't the case. Wakir put his hand under his chin and began to imagine Hugo. He didn't understand why Hugo had helped him, even knowing that he was lying. After his return in time, understanding Hugo's thoughts had become an even more difficult task. Wakir turned his head and his eyes began to shine with seriousness. Thanks to this, he had been able to reach the highest realm, but he supposed he would have to see it to discover what his intentions were. Once Wakir went to Hugo's office, his eyes widened in confusion and fear. Hugo now looked like another person. He had pigtails, clasped his hands and couldn't help but smile upon seeing his son again. Our boy became somewhat confused, not knowing what had happened. With a curious expression, Wakir asked why Hugo had this appearance. With a smile, Hugo grabbed his ponytail and mentioned that this elaborate knot had been braided by Pomeranian, declaring that she was, without a doubt, another prodigy of the Baskerville family. Wakir observed closely and saw that Hugo's office had changed. It was now full of Pomeranian's toys. Hugo mentioned that Pomeranian had been waiting for Wakir, but since she was so sleepy, Barrymore had ended up taking her to sleep. Hugo's eyes began to shine with joy because he knew that although Pomeranian had already passed the age to enjoy these things, as her grandfather, he wanted his granddaughter, who couldn't even enjoy the basics when she was younger, to be able to have these kinds of experiences. Wakir began to gaze at the ground, not knowing what to say. He left the envelope on top of the table and mentioned that he had received the letter that Hugo had sent him through Osiris. Hugo's attention was fixed on it. Wakir had already opened the envelope. Our boy lowered his head and asked Hugo when he had realized that he was hiding his strength. Hugo closed his eyes and mentioned that upon reaching the highest realm, it was possible to see things that ordinary people could not. He rested his hand on top of the table and revealed that there were things that could be felt with the senses, even without seeing them. He knew that Wakir was aware of this. Wakir began to remember his past and sank into his thoughts. He remembered the hatred, the contempt, and the thirst for revenge he had felt, and wondered if Hugo had simply observed in silence where his growing power was heading. While Wakir was distracted, Hugo caught his attention. Our boy's eyes widened with curiosity. With a cheerful expression, Hugo mentioned that he had been so distracted that he hadn't noticed until now. He pointed out that the uniform Vakir was wearing really suited him and asked if life at the academy was fun. Vakir went into shock, not knowing what was happening. Our boy remained silent and then a smile spread across his face. It was night and Vakir couldn't help but feel happy since until now. He had always treated him as a master from the position of a hound and as a patriarch from the perspective of a family member. But this day, for the first time, Hugo was able to look at Vakir as his son, and he liked this very much. This is the end of the video. If you guys want to see the next part,